Shalom, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Makakwadash, giving all praise to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai Bashim Makakwadash. Shalom to the whole elect out there. Anyway, what am I gonna title this video? What title am I gonna give this? Am I gonna give this video? Let's call it a response to the hell doctrine and the MOTB. This is fair use, fair use. I'm playing a video that was put up yesterday, last night, IUIC in the classroom. America and the world will pay reparations. So now, watch from the beginning. They do the prayers and so forth. Then the bishop comes up and he goes into his sermon class, and he goes into hell. Like one of the first scriptures that he opens up with, that he goes into, if not the first, was Isaiah 5, verse 13. Then he goes to Isaiah chapter 13, made a covenant with death. You know, I'm not going to go to these scriptures. But right about here, about 26 minutes in, he goes into 2nd Ezra 7, verse 20. And then he mentions the MOTB. So, they, you know, and we watched their videos and they said, yeah, Tahar, Elder Tahar, he did a video, Elder did a short, Elder Tahar watches our videos. There's the proof. Well, guess what? You guys watch our videos. And you do your classes based upon what we say. All right? I'm going to try not to say anything negative, you know, because I'm just going to let him teach. And I'm going to see what he says. He goes into the whole thing about hell, which he's right on. Isaiah chapter 5, verse 13, read a couple of verses down. It goes into hell. And I agree 100%. Hell is a condition. Hell, first and it's if you go into the etymon or the etymology of the word, the hermeneutics of the word, which is a fancy way of saying etymology, you go to the root word. The word for hell means the grave or a pit. When somebody dies, you put him in hell. All right, but it also means a condition, which they say it's a condition. I agree with that. I agree with that. Proof of that, real quick. We were speaking about that yesterday at the camp. King David. Matter of fact, let me go ahead and get that. You know, if somebody asks me what does the word hell mean, the first thing I'm going to say, it means grave or the pit. But you can say we are in hell, which is a condition, you know, like a dead state. What's that? Revelation 11 chapter speaks about us being dead, meaning we're not physically dead in a tomb or grave or whatever, graveyard, but it's metaphorically speaking of us as a dead people. What is it? Forget my scriptures. Ezekiel chapter 37, one of my favorite prophetic scriptures, and that pretty much that scripture right there, as Yaquab, Elder Yaquab would say, that scripture should be in the what is that? What's that museum in Washington? The Smithsonian Museum. That's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful prophecy, because it says a whole lot. It goes into us being in this captivity. That's the vision is Ezekiel seeing us in America, but he sees it as like a vast land with bones, dead bones. Then he sees the bones coming together. Then he sees. Then it says that this is the whole house of Israel. So he gets understanding that this represents Israel, the dead state, coming back in the pop, being risen up. And the main thing, when you see us out there on the streets, that's the bones coming back together. and teaching. And it says, but they have no breath. And the breath is the full knowledge of the Most High. So the breath is everything that we teach. Now you have some of these Israelites out here. Since I'm on the subject of the IUIC, they they're breathing funny. They're arrhythmic. The heart is not working right. They're coughing. They're breathing, but you know their breath is not. They kind of stop breathing. What I mean by that is the breath. The breath is supposed to be pure. Pure. You breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. Pure meaning not adulterated. Uh, no fillers in it, no gimmicks, no lies in it. So, we get on, IUIC and Sakari and other groups, not saying that they don't have the truth, because they do have the truth. They teach you that you're Israel, so we give them credit for that. But recently there was a video up on the hell thing. So the brother that was speaking, um, he went into Isaiah 5:13, read a couple of verses down. Then I believe he jumped from Isaiah 5 to Isaiah 14, and then he went to a second Ezra's, which, as you see on the screen here, second Ezra's. All right, and he reads from second Ezra's, and we're gonna see if he's gonna go to the same place. And it goes about after. I should go ahead and read it. Let me do this. Let me do this here. I didn't set anything up. I don't have no scriptures like lined up. So I'm just going by the Spirit, as the Spirit leads me. And I'm pretty sure everyone heard the news about Ariel passing. And I went over the Sakari page, the main page, and he's going to put a video up concerning Ariel. So I'll be watching that just to see what he says. And I did put a comment on this page here to show. So it should be up here. Matter of fact, you know what? Let me do this. Yep. Okay. This is the video, right? So I said let me put some throw some comments out there to different camps. So it says, Elder, this is me, Elder Aria, just to let the Israelite community know, one Westers, Elder Aria passed away today. I don't know if you know this, pass it on. So the sister right here, as she puts up she puts up what do you call it, a link, and she said, is this Elder Ariana? I said yes. And then she came back and said, my condolences. So no, I say yes, it is. My condolences. I don't know what happened to the link that she put up, because she wasn't sure who it was. And I even took that link and I put up a video on that. So I put it out there. I didn't put it out there to everybody. I was going to put it to ISUPK, but I said they'll get it. They'll get it. They'll all get it. So let me come back over here. Oh, let me go over here. Come over here. Let me do this. The second Ezra 7. Let me do this. Okay, I don't know if he's going to go to this particular verse. Let me read this. I answered then and said, this is my first and last saying, that it had been better not to have given the earth unto Adam, or else when it was given him, to have restrained him from sinning. Well, the question is this: who made Adam sin? That's the question. For what profit is it for a man now in his present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? So this was brought up before, back in the day, by Yeshaya, mainly by Yeshaya, and they used to use this scripture here. If you die, you're going to be punished, and you're going to go to hell. Well, that if you go to hell, how are you reincarnated? But then they're saying, well, the ones that keep the laws, they're going to come back. They reincarnated. Well, how? This is the question. If this applies to Israelites, does this apply to Israelites only, or does this apply to Esau? Because Esau is definitely a sinner. He's called the ungodly. All right, that prospers in the earth. Is he going to hell? Because Washington, all the Edomites that owned slaves, that raped the women slaves, that whipped the men slaves, that killed them, castrated them, are they all in hell? So if they're all in hell, all Edomites in the past are all in hell. They're all in hell, man. Alexander the Greek, Antiochus Epiphanes, all of them, Hitler, they're all in hell. They're all burning in hell. And they ain't coming back. So where are we going to get our slave from? Let me read this again. It says, for what profit is it for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? And this negates the law of it's in Deuteronomy, but Exodus 20, around about the fourth and fifth verse. It says, I'm merely paraphrasing, you're gonna pay for the sins of your father by the way of your children. Just merely paraphrasing. Now the scripture also says that the father does not pay for the sins of his sons, neither the sons pay for the sins of his father. So how do you explain Exodus 20, verse 4 and 5, mainly the fifth verse? It says, whatever the father did, your son or your son's son is going to pay for it. That's reincarnation right there, because you're coming back. So when are you punished? When you come back. Why are we punished for what our foreparents did when Moses gave them the law and said, Deuteronomy 28, the first 14, 15 verses is the blessings. And then from the 15, 16 verse is all the cursings, right? So why are we in slavery if our foreparents did it? Because we are foreparents and reincarnated. And reincarnation works in 4 generations, right? It says to look for punishment. So I'll let you listen to the rest of it. I'm going to see what the bishop says. According to their theory, as based on what the brother said from Tallahassee, the IUIC out there, he said that the punishment is hell, that you go to hell. So then that kills the whole reincarnation thing. That means we're not going to have Edomites or the other nations as slaves. Doesn't make sense. It says, "Oh, thou Adam." Oh, Adam would never come. Adam would never come back. Oh, Solomon is in hell. King Solomon's in hell. Remember, King Solomon went off at his old age, but the Lord said his kingdom is going to be an everlasting kingdom. That's a pretty good deal. Commit sin and have another king, have an everlasting kingdom. According to them, Solomon would have to be burned in hell. A Saul would be burned in hell. So what did it mean by Sam? You said you and your son, I'm merely paraphrasing, not giving you the exact words. You and your son, you're going to lose a battle to the Philistines, and and I believe you said you and your son will be with me. Saul, the spirit was taken away from Saul. The Most High rejected Saul because he said, um, what do you say? Rebellion is as a sin of witchcraft. What do you do with a witch? Put her to death, and you burn her in hell, right? So how is it that Saul goes to the same place as Samuel and let Samuel's in hell? And why would the Most High put Samuel in hell? It says, "Oh, thou Adam, um, what hast thou done? For though it was thou that sinned, thou art not fallen alone, but we all that come of thee." That, you know what that means? That goes into through the sin of Adam. That curse goes on all of us. Even if you don't sin, you're under the curse. So all of us gonna go to hell. Everybody gonna go to hell, even if you're right. It says, "For what profit is it unto us if there be promised us an immortal time?" A time, immortal meaning without death. We're going to live forever. "Whereas we have done the works of works that bring death." For what profit is it for men now in this present time to live in heaviness, and after death to look for punishment? So let's see what he says. Let's come back. Fair use, fair use, fair use. And see, we're defenders of the gospel. You going off, we're going to defend it. All right. This was never taught in back, One West days. The high priest Ariel, he was the top priest, scripture guy. But Shai used to bring this up every 2 or 3 years. He'd bring it up, and he'd get, there'd be a council, and he'll get straightened out. And then he would come back 2 years later and bring it up again. That's why Tazadakia, the so-called God-sent comforter, went all into it. Yeah, hell is a place. If you go to hell, a bad one's gonna punch you in the face. A Apollyon gonna punch you in the face. And people believed it, man. And anyway, let's listen on. Let's listen on.
Given strict commandments, narrow to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. So the Lord has given us laws. If you keep these laws, that's how you avoid punishment. You want to avoid the lake of fire? Keep God's law. See, you got people out there that say to avoid punishment, don't take a shit. That's what it's about. To avoid eternal judgment, eternal damnation, God says. That's
so you're hearing it from the head man of the IUIC. Let's bring this back. And all you other camps that call yourself defending the gospel, you should be getting on this guy. Whether you curse him out or whether you come meek, however, you got to stand up and get on this guy.
You keep these laws, that's how you avoid. You want to avoid the lake of fire? Keep God's law. See, you got people out there that say to avoid punishment, to avoid eternal judgment, eternal damnation, God says. That's what it says. Okay? Nevertheless, you were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things. Some of you imagine vain. It ain't so much about God's law. Yeah, the law, what you talk about is the law. It ain't that, brothers.
See, we rented space in this guy's brain. Now, let me say this. Do I have a beard on my face because it's a fashion statement? because I saw Rick Ross with a beard in his face? No. Do I put fringes on my garment? Do I keep the Sabbath, which is the real Sabbath? You guys don't keep the real Sabbath. Are we getting ready to take part in the Passover? Those are the laws. Those are the laws. And he pushes that law stuff. He got that from this guy that we did a video on, the Chinese water rat, Saaja, the guy that looked like Tito Santana. This guy ran into him in Phoenix. This guy, Vocab Malone, he was the one that used to push that. You got to keep the law. You got to keep the law. You got to keep the law. There was a point in time that he told Bishop and some other guys, Rahab and the leadership, they told people in the congregation in the house of David, a 12-tribe production, they said, we're not supposed to keep the law under grace. This is what he said. Now, he can tell me I'm a liar. All right? He said, you can't keep the laws. And you got to prove to us that you not keeping the laws by eating pork in front of us. And a whole lot of the congregation said, we ain't got no problem with that. We ain't gonna keep the laws no more because we're under grace and we're gonna eat that pork. This is what he told me over the phone. Like I said, pull him to the side and ask him. He told me over the phone why that whole, House of David 12-tribe production, after they kicked us out because of the Cornelius thing, which now he teaches, all right? So they kicked us out, so to speak, without a cause because they didn't judge the matter correctly. They didn't pray on it. They didn't fast on it. But now, which proves that they didn't judge and pray on it and fast on it because he's teaching that Cornelius is an Israelite. Now, all those guys, they teaching that Cornelius is an Israelite. So when he said, okay, I think it was on a Friday, when you guys come in Monday, we're going to have some pork for you, and you're going to eat the pork to prove that you're not keeping the law because you're not supposed to keep the law. I'm not saying it word for word. This was over 20 years ago. And he noticed that, and this is the bishop telling me this over the phone because he had my number. He said that Monday, I believe it was on a Monday, the people came in ready to eat the pork, but there were 14 men, no women, whatever sisters were there, they came. He said there were 14 men that was part of the congregation that did not come back, and they never came back ever again. Now, when I told that story, when we first went on YouTube, like in 2007, 2008, when I told that story, there was one of the guys standing in the audience. That was the spirit. The brother put his hand out. I said, yeah, what brother? He said, I was one of the 14 guys that was there. So I can attest to that. I was one of the 14 guys. And he told his side of the story. He said, when we heard that shit, we got together. He said, man, fuck this. This ain't the truth. And they fell out. And mind you, they had a big gathering. And all of those people went back into the world, whether it's 1,000 people or whatever. All them people that stayed with the house of David and tell me that I'm a liar, because I'm not. Like I said, all you have to do is pull the Bishop Nate to the side, Bishop Nathaniel to the side, and simply ask him, did you have a phone call? And this was, I believe, after the World Trade Center. It was sometime in 2001, because they had kicked us out in 2007. And I remember he would come down. Well, he came down, I think he came down twice to the camp. He knew where we was on 34th Street. This was long before the YouTube came around. I remember him, the last time he came down was, he came down, it was like 99. And that's when Mo, they went to separate ways. There was a whole lot of, they were kicking each other out, and it came down to the 12-tribe production. And I remember him coming down in 1999 when King Marshall was in the hospital. And we would, me and my cousin and the rest of us, the bar, the car, Rhyme Lob, we would go down there. They would come down like once a week. Me and my cousin Johanna would go down there like every other day, you know. And only the main people that we saw was his wife and his daughter and some other people. But his daughter was a nurse. She was always there. She could, I love that sister, And we used to go and see him and pray for him and stuff like that. And this is on the time when Bishop Nate came down to the camp, and I said, "Hey, Shalom." He said, "What's going on?" I said, "What?" He said, "How's King? He didn't say King Marshall. He said, "How's Marshall doing?" I said, he's at the. I gave him the high. I said, "There's the hospitals that he's at is on 73rd Street in Manhattan. Is a major hospital. I forget the name of the daggone hospital. It's a major hospital. So he had the best care. So I said, here's the address. Why don't you go up there and find out for yourself?" And he really didn't say too much after that. He said a few words, then he went his way. That's just some of the history right there. So we here, the leadership of the GMS, we were always, we ran into RER. We were always, the Most High gave us things. We always getting information, man. We always getting the inside scoop, so to speak. But during that time, they never taught that hell existed. So here we saying the MOTB. Where you think he got that from? They forget about the laws. Wait a minute, we do keep the laws. We do keep the laws. But I got a precept right here. I hope I got the right precept. Romans 9. Romans 9. Okay, let me read. I'll start at the 30th verse. What shall we say then? The Gentiles, which follow not after righteousness, meaning the laws, the Gentiles, the Israelites, coming and back into the fold, have attained to righteousness, even the righteousness which is of faith. But Yasha'Allah, Israel, which follow after the law of righteousness, the laws, have not attained to the law of righteousness. That's why Yahweh Shai was cursing out them scribes and them Pharisees, because they were telling people to keep the laws, but they were being hypocrites because they were breaking laws behind the scenes. That's why the Lord said in Matthew 23, he said, "Do as they say, not as they do, because they say and do not." But Israel, which follow after the law of righteousness, meaning the laws, statutes, and commandments, have not attained to the law of righteousness. Meaning that didn't make them righteous. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith. When you come into this faith, you grow in this thing, and then as you grow, you begin to keep the laws. You begin to understand the laws, and you keep the laws. That's why the Apostle Paul said in Colossians 2:16, "Let no man judge you on meats and drinks in respect of a high holy day, which is a shadow of things to come." What do you mean by a shadow of things to come? The laws are going to be kept in order in the kingdom. The Jerusalem Council, Acts 15, when you had this Pharisees that believed in the Lord, said they can't make it to the kingdom. Well, eat the Passover, go to the kingdom. if they're not circumcised, which the Lord said you're supposed to be circumcised. But the circumcision, there's a physical circumcision, but the real circumcision was that of the heart, which is faith. So they had a council with the heads, Peter, James, they had John, James, they had a council with them concerning this matter, and they came to the conclusion, no, you don't worry about keeping circumcised yourself, which is a law. Then they said, just don't eat meats that with the blood in it. I mean, you can read it yourself. So they were telling them, no, don't worry about keeping the laws. Just get your house shy, and then as you grow in this thing, you can begin to keep the laws. Other than that, tell me what Colossians 2 verse 16 is all about. What does that mean? And even Paul said to the Galatians, he's calling foolish Galatians because he said, you guys deal with the law. As a matter of fact, you know what? Let me go ahead and read that. Let me finish reading this. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law, for they stumbled at the stumbling block. As it is written, behold, I lay in Zion a stumbling block and a rock of offense, and whosoever believeth on him shall not be ashamed. But Israel have followed after the law of righteousness, have not obtained the law of righteousness. They were following the laws, but they didn't become righteous for it. Them wicked scribes and Pharisees in John the 8th chapter, the Lord condemned them. Even though they had fringes on them. Here come the Sabbath, let's keep the Sabbath. Here come the high holy days, let's keep the high holy days. The Lord still condemned them because they were all, you commit one sin, you're guilty of all, James 2. Wherefore, because they sought it not by faith, but as it were by the works of the law. So what comes first? The law or faith? Faith. And as you grow into this thing, you begin to keep the laws. But they stumble at the stumbling block. So now let's come back over here. I might want to jump back. I'm at 28 minute 14 second mark. So him saying you got to keep the laws, there's nothing wrong with that. Do as he say, not as they do. We don't know what these guys do behind closed doors. And we're all, and the Apostle Paul, he said when it comes to the laws, a Pharisee, meaning he was perfect in the law. He said, you want to have a contest on who keeps the laws more perfectly? He said, I do, hands down. He was raised up, his father was a Pharisee. He was a Pharisee. He was trained by Gamaliel, a teacher of the law, doctor of the law. Oh, I said I was going to go to Galatians, right? Galatians 3. O foolish Galatians, who hath bewitched you, who put a spell on you, that ye should not obey the truth, before whose eyes Yahushua Hamashiach have been evidently set forth, crucified among you. This only would I learn of you, receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law. What is the works of the law? Keep the Sabbath, high holy days, wear the fringes, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not kill, or by the hearing of faith. Here it goes again, or by the hearing of faith. Receive ye the Spirit by the works of the law, or by the hearing of faith. Are ye so foolish, having begun in the Spirit? Are ye now made perfect by the Lord? No, you're not, because you break the least commandment, you broke all of them. Have ye suffered so many things in vain, as if it be yet in vain? Therefore, that He therefore that minister to you the Spirit and worketh miracles among you, doeth he it by the works of the law or by the hearing of faith? So now this was brought up, I believe that was Joel, Captain Joel. He was going back and forth with these Christians, and there was gathering around. He was getting them going. They were going into the ships and this and that and the other. Then Galatians 3 came up. So that one of the Christians guys, they said, well, what does that mean? What does that mean? He said that law was the law of sacrifice. And they said, ah, and then they just left. Like fishing. You go fishing, you're very quiet. You put the line in. If you trouble the waters, the fish, you got a whole school of fish. You trouble the waters, the fish are just they're gonna go in 7 different directions. So that's what happened. As soon as Joe, I believe it was Joel, Captain Joel, as soon as he said that's talking about animal sacrifices, they said, oh, because it wasn't talking about animal sacrifices. It's talking about the law. That's why the Apostle Paul called them a bunch of fools, old foolish Galatians. Even these Edomite scholars know that, man. So here this guy pushing the law. He said, them guys said, don't keep the law, don't keep the law. We never said that. Just don't take the microchip. Let's hear that again. Let's hear it again.
It ain't that, brothers. Oh, yeah, the law, you talk about some of your imagined things. It ain't so much about God's laws. Yeah, the law, you talk about is the law. It ain't that, brothers.
So this guy's a liar. He's talking about keeping the law. He's breaking the law right now by lying. When do we ever say, don't keep the laws? Why do we have beards on our faces? Why do we have fringes on our garments? Why do we keep the Sabbath the correct way? Why do we keep the new moons the correct way? Why are we getting ready to have a Passover? Why do we keep the Day of Atonement? And we tell the ones that are part of GMS, the Day of Atonement is coming up on such and such a date. This is fucking wickedness, man. He's pushing out to the people that listen to him, don't keep the law. You can be a mole, you can commit adultery. This is why I'm playing this.
And friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. They don't say all of you. It says he shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. What it says?
What's his name? You said it before. Why do you keep calling on Christ? And the Lord tells you to not mention any other name. Let's go to that. We're really back to the basics. What is that? Leviticus, if I'm not mistaken. Leviticus 23. I'm sorry. It's Exodus. Exodus 23. Thou shalt not, second word, thou shalt not raise a false report. That's part of the law. He's raising a false report. He's saying that we said, don't keep the law. Just do whatever you want to do. Whatever comes to your mind, whatever feels good, do it. But just don't take that chip. Never said that. Putting words in our mouth. Put not thine hand with the wicked to be an unrighteous witness. Thou shalt not follow a multitude to do evil, neither shalt thou speak in a cause to decline after many to wrestle judgment. You see, the majority of people are going with one thing, they're dead wrong. You don't join them. You being a righteous mind, you don't join them. You say, nope, that's wrong. And you bring out the scriptures. That's why it says, 2 Timothy 2, verse 15, study to show thyself approved. a workman needed not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth. Neither shalt thou uh, countenance a poor man in his cause. Neither countenance a poor man in his cause. Let's look up the word continence. Continent, neither countenance a poor man in his cause. Okay. Let's come down here. This is the law. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. Now I can say Allah, I can say Jesus, I can say all these things, but I'm not calling on, I'm not praying and saying, oh Allah, or oh Jesus, or oh this God or Buddha. I'm not praying to those gods. That's what it actually means. When you push push a name out like it's the name of the Lord. Somebody said, what's the name of the Lord? Oh, his name is Jesus. His name is not Jesus. That's what the churches teach. So let me read this again. And in all things that I have said unto you, be circumspect and make no mention of the name of other gods, neither let it be heard out of thy mouth. So now let's look up the word mention. Because I can say God and Allah and Buddha and this and that. The word is zakar, right? It says to remember, recall, call to mind, to remember, recall, to be brought to remembrance, be remembered, be thought of, be brought to mind, to cause to remember, to cause to remember, keep in remembrance, to mention, to record, to make a memorial, make remembrance. So when we say Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shai, that's a memorial and a remembrance of the true God. Because I can say Jesus, like I said, Allah, Buddha, I can say that all day. But if I oh great Buddha, oh great this, and I'm actually praying for them, that's not what you're supposed to do. And that includes Jesus. Because when you say Jesus, what comes up in your mind? A picture of the white Christ. And he said it on different shows. So he's breaking the law right there. First of all, he's putting words in our mouth. He's being a false witness. We never said don't keep the laws. Okay, let's listen to this again.
Bishop, can you pray for my mama? Can you pray for my cousin Ed? Your mom and your cousin Ed don't get you. And friends, and some of you shall they cause to be put to death. See, it don't say all of you, it says some of you. And he shall be hated of all men for my name's sake. What it says, and you shall be hated of all men.
What's his name? What's his name? His name not Jesus. You know how many people going to church praising the name of Jesus? People love the church. They love their pastor because they call on the name of Jesus. The name is talking about Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai.
chapter 7 and verse 20. For there be many that perish in this life. Why? Because they despise the law of God that is set before them. So all of you brothers and sisters, if you don't have a love for the Most High, it said there be many that perish in this life because they despise the law of God. For God hath given straight commandments, narrow to such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came.
So the Apostle Paul should be burning in hell right now. No such thing as reincarnation. The Apostle Paul is burning right here in hell right now. He ain't gonna get no crown. No crown. Why? Because he admitted that he sinned. Read Romans chapter 7. He admitted that he sinned, but he said it was not me that do it, but sin that dwelleth in me. Like the Flip Wilson show, for you brothers don't know, that goes way back. I'm showing my age. He had Here Come the Judge. It was a skit called Here Come the Judge. And they would have somebody come before the judge and they'd be found guilty. And the guy would say, the devil made me do it. Well, that's what the Apostle Paul said. The devil made me do it. Blamed it on the devil. So did the Apostle Paul blame it on the devil because he sinned? He said, yeah. He said, it's not me that doeth it, but sin that dwelleth in me. And why did we sin in the first place? Do they understand that? Why do we sin in the first place? Because the Most High programmed us to sin. The Most High programmed, but the reason why we sin, the scriptures also say, Paul said, mortify your members, like, discipline yourself not to sin. But every once in a while, you're going to sin. Romans 7, Romans 8. Oh, Romans 3. That book of Romans, I got to go into Romans because he covers a lot on sin, Galatians, Hebrews, a lot of those New Testament books. He said, it's not me that sinneth. He said, I do sin, but it's not me that sinneth, it's sin that dwelleth in me. And who, like I said, I'm saying it again, who programmed you to, the scriptures say man's goings are of the Lord. So how can a man then understand his own way? When David called it census, he told Joab to count Israel. Joab defied him. He said, man, that's going against our we. He said, look, just listen to what I say. I'm giving you an order. So what happened? David was punished by, he had 3 punishments that was given to him that he can choose with. And he chose the one, I believe it was 3 days that the death angel killed a number of Israelites. So he said, well, that's the least amount of time. Not too many people are going to get killed. He didn't know the power that the one angel killed was 85,000 Israelites because of the sin of a census for him counting Israel. So why did he count Israel? In Chronicles, it says one thing, I believe in 2 Samuel, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not going to go to it. Somebody can put it in the comment section. Why did he ultimately do it? Because one part says that he went and counted Israel, and another part, I believe it's Chronicles, when he said Satan got to him and made him count it. Well, why did Satan do it? Because the Most High told Satan to do it. The Most High said, look, go down there and get in his mind and make him commit sin so I can jack Israel up. It's not me that sinneth, but sin that dwelleth in me. Romans chapter 7. So this man is sinning right now by saying, we teach, don't keep the laws. So guess what? All of us shave our beards off, probably put tattoos on us, don't wear no fringes. Excuse me. So let's listen on.
What they should observe to avoid punishment. So if you keep these laws, that's how you avoid. You want to avoid the lake of fire? Keep God's law. See, you got people out there that say to avoid punishment.
So he says a lake of fire. He doesn't go into details as to what the lake of fire is. We're going to listen to a little bit more and see what he says. But the brother from Tallahassee, I believe he's originally from Atlanta, IUIC. But when there's camps that are lacking, they get one of the top teachers to go out there to build it up. But he did say the lake of fire is an eternal hell. There's two different hells. There's the hell that we're in, and then there's eternal hell, which is the lake of fire. So let me bring this back again.
And what they should observe to avoid punishment. So the Lord has given us laws. If you keep these laws, that's how you avoid punishment. You want to avoid the lake of fire? Keep God's law. See, you got people out there that say to avoid punishment, don't take a chip. That's not what the Bible says. To avoid eternal judgment, eternal damnation, God says.
So you heard it. He said eternal damnation. Eternal meaning forever. He's teaching the hell doctrine. He's teaching you heard it from the head, the top honcho of the IUIC. They officially teach the hell doctrine. The reason he put this up last night, yesterday, the reason why he put this up, because earlier in the week, we did videos on this guy talking about the hell doctrine. And I said, I would like to hear it from the so-called horse's mouth, from the head honcho of the school. So you just heard it right about here, 27 minutes in, you just heard it. Now, all you different camps out there that claim you're a defender of the gospel, you're supposed to speak on this. You're supposed to say, you can say whatever the hell you want to say, but you would say, well, this controversy about hell is a lake of fire, a place that you burn forever. And the answer is no, Bishop Nathaniel is going off. Or you can say, no, Bishop Nathaniel is right. Or you cannot say nothing. Part of defending the gospel is an act. Why do you think the book of Acts is called what it is? The word Acts is short for actions. So you got to take a stand. You got to tell people, no, you're going off on this. And then he said, let me bring it back again. Because he said the only thing you got to worry about is the MOTB. He actually says he hears it so much. That proves he listened to us. Let's hear it again. And he's dead wrong. He's dead wrong. For the record, he's dead wrong. For the record, we here at Great Millstone defended the gospel. Now, how many other camps out there are going to defend this part of the gospel?
To such as came, what they should do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. So if you keep these laws, that's how you avoid. You want to avoid the lake of fire? Keep God's law. See, you got people out there that say to avoid punishment. That's not what the Bible says.
You heard what he said. To avoid the Most High's punishment, don't take a chip. Then he said MOTB. So let's go to it. Look, I didn't get up in the morning saying, oh, I'm going to do a video getting on IUIC because I just don't like them. No, I saw the video and they were talking about us, so we defended. Okay, where did I say I was going to go? He said, don't worry about the law. You don't have to worry about keeping the laws. He said, just don't take a chip to avoid punishment or whatever. So let me go here to Revelation. So at least he knows it's a chip now. He knows there's an actual chip that they're going to give to the world. But he's saying that's not you can take. Pretty much he's saying in a roundabout way you can take it. All right. So now let's go to Revelation 14, because this is the punishment if you do take it. Let me go right to the point. I'll start at the eighth verse, Revelation 14:8. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city. So John saw the destruction of Babylon. And he saw the angel proclaiming, Babylon is fallen, it's fallen. The great city, which is the U.S., because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Meaning the wine represents philosophy, the democracy, and at one time it was Christianity, but you have people that are part of the NATO that are not Christians. You got dignitaries that are atheists, so it's not Christianity, but it started as Christianity with Christopher Columbus. So the wine represents their system to be Europeanized, to be Americanized, to keep, like all these nations, all these major nations, they all come to the UN. So guess what? If you come to the UN, that means you were a signatory with the UN treaty, whatever you want to call it. So they committed fornication. They drunk the wine. All those, every last one of them that go to the UN General Assembly, like the third week of September, they all converge in New York City on the east side by the river, which I've been in that building. They would all converge from all these different nations, and they would all have their name plates. The African nations are all there. The ones that are being called the people of Iran, they're there. People of Iraq, they're there. Russia's there. Even though they're having wars and killing each other, they still come together, and they said everything is neutral. Whatever crime that you committed, you're neutral. You're on neutral land. We're not gonna mess with you, man. They killed Gaddafi. Allegedly, they killed Gaddafi after they had the general meeting, and he cursed them out. He cursed the U.S. out, and then after they killed them, they said they couldn't kill them. They couldn't kill them there because they were covered. What do you call that? Neutral. It was neutral ground. All right. That's why you got individuals that come from other countries that could rape a little girl or kill somebody or whatever and not get away with it. And they go back to their country and they can't do nothing to them because they're on neutral ground at the UN. They can't do nothing to them. So when they go back to their country, they ask them, could you bring the man back? And the country doesn't deal with extradition, meaning sending somebody back. They said, no, we don't have extradition laws. So you just got to deal with it. These people that come from these different countries with the diplomatic plates, they get parking tickets in summers. It's just like you get it, but they don't pay them. And what do? They ask, could you please pay? Because they don't have jurisdiction over them. So let me read this 8th verse. And there followed another angel saying, Babylon is fallen, that great city, because she made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. That's the term. You're in bed with this person. You're in cahoots with this person. Doom for worshipers of the beast. And the third angel followed them, saying with a loud voice, if any man worship the beast and his image, and receive a mark, which he said the chip. Now Bishop Nate sees it. He says, not talking about, he put the little hand up for a chip, that you're going to be saved because you take a little chip, because he sees it now. You can keep all the laws you want. You can be Joe perfect with the laws. You take that chip and say, well, I keep the laws. Moses, I don't want to hear. Moses, I don't want to hear what you got to say. You're keeping the laws. You got the chip in you, man. And his image, and receive his mark, which is a chip, now Bishop Nate, and he should thank us because now he sees a light. He doesn't see the full light, but he sees a little light because now he's saying the MOTB. Now he's saying the chip. Now he puts the hand up as a little rice-sized chip. See, these other guys, you can mention GMS. We know who you're talking about. You could say these GMS guys. to harden them and receive his mark in his forehead and in his hand. That the physical hand, which is dextrose, and the physical forehead, which is a matopon. The metaverse, mata is the forehead. You put those goggles on. Now they have the technology when you put those goggles on. I don't know if you got to receive a chip in your head, but you can touch things that are not there and actually feel things. You can feel it. It says the same shall drink of the wine of the wrath of the Most High, which is poured out mixture into the cup of his indignation, and he shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lord. So the fire and brimstone is talking about, I don't know if they're saying that this is hell, but if they're going to say the lake of fire is hell, this is hell. It said hell and death was cast into the lake of fire. So that means they're going to be tormented. If they say this, they might say, no, it's talking about a different hell. It's talking about the missiles. We don't know. You got to ask them. It says they're going to what? It says they're going to, and shall be tormented with fire and brimstone in the presence of the holy angels and in the presence of the Lamb. So so this is no, let's read on 11. And the smoke of their torment ascended up forever and ever. So this got to be talking about the lake of fire, that there's a place that you burn eternally. So that means the angels, the Lord, Yahushua, and who the world ignorantly calls Christ, Jesus, and the angels, all the angels, they're gonna be a big stadium where they're gonna have seats and they're gonna be eating popcorn for eternity, watching people burn. Use your head for something other than a hat rack. Let's listen to a little bit more.
To avoid eternal judgment, eternal damnation, God says, that's what he said, right? Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spake against him and imagined vain things. Some of you imagine vain. It ain't so much about God's laws. Yeah, the law, all you talk about is the law. It ain't that, brothers. MOTB,
it's the MOTB. See how it rolls off the tongue? The MOTB, the microchip. Now he believes it. You go back to 2016, 2015. He wasn't saying nothing about a chip. It ain't no chip. It's an embargo. Anyway, you know what? I stopped at the 28 mark, and I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm gonna leave it at that. Like I said, this is fair use. Obviously, they're talking about us, so we do have a right to respond to what they're saying. And I'm gonna say this: he's dead wrong about an eternal damnation for not keeping the laws, because it says all Israel shall be saved. What does all mean? It means 100% of Israel. What does what is it? Matthew 19:27 mean? Those of you that have lost family for this work, you're going to receive them back 100-fold. Meaning in the kingdom, you're going to get your family back, even if they go off. Anyway, with that, I'm going to say shalom.